Thanks, Paolo. Hi, everybody in the chats. How's everyone feeling? I hope you're still very excited, but just being excited is cool too. And my talk is just gonna be fun, and at the same time, we'll also be learning a lot. Well, that's my promise anyway, but it's really chill. So sit back, and I'll be doing all the talking, obviously. And I haven't introduced myself yet. Hi again. My name is Christy, and I'm a brand illustrator here at Canva. And at Canva, we love telling our stories. So hence the theme, the power of visual storytelling. And my job as an illustrator is, being able to draw and tell a story in different scales. And that just means like sometimes you have a lot of space to tell a story and sometimes you don't. And also it's more often that telling a story in the smallest space is the hardest, because how can you tell a story when there isn't a lot of space for the story to move? So I'll show you what I mean on the next page. Usually you see stories in movies and television as a sequence of happenings. So there's like a lot of space for a story to move there. There's so much space like to take you on a journey from beginning to end, because it's moving pictures and sometimes it's even 3 hours or 4 hours long. So the same goes for books where, it's static, but there's still like a sequence there, right? Like you flip through pages, or if you're on an iPad, you scroll through your screen. So, and the news or journals, which is like a written story, it's not a story. There's like words there, but they're in paragraphs and they are still in sequence. But what if you just want to make a sticker or a spot illustration, like a tiny illustration, and that really doesn't give you much space to tell a story or make a sequence of? So this talk puts focus on being able to tell a story in the most simplest form, and that is through characters. So why characters, you ask? Because most of the time, it's the character that carries the story. Like for example, when you watch a movie or read a book, the character is the one you follow in getting a story from beginning to end and is instrumental in getting a story across. So how can it not be a story in itself, right? Because what is the story anyway? Like if you go on Google, you'll see lots of definitions. Like it's a narrative about people and events. Like there's a plot and there's sharing of information. There's emotional connection. So there's like lots of words there. But if you simplify it, it's really only saying like it's about people and events. So there's a subject. It has an interesting plot. So there's an action. It creates emotional connection. So there's an emotion to it. And again, to answer the question, can a character have all these things? Like the answer is yes, a character can have everything a story has, because a character is a story in itself. And that is our first key point. So, let's break it down even more. What are the elements of a character and how does it all work to become memorable? So first, there's a subject. It answers the question, what is it? Like in this example, it's a it's a bird, and there's really nothing else to it, and all you know is that it's a bird, and we have a bird here. But once you add an action to it, then it becomes a little bit interesting. It's on a skateboard and it's riding it. And then you add an emotion on top of it, which is like the icing on the cake, your cherry on top, like where the emotion is a reaction to the action. So riding the skateboard, right, is the action, and then it's expressing thrill. Its mouth is open, its tongue is out, like the wind is blowing, and that's your whole scene. So give it an Oscar, please. So there's a story to it now. It's not just a character. And it opens you to a world where birds probably ride skateboards, and they probably have a skateboard crew, and they ride around with their friends. So many possibilities. So if you take away emotion and you also take away action, then you're left with a character with no story. And I mean, you have a bird and it's cute, but what about it? So you see now how it makes such a difference. So simply adding action and emotion to your subject really helps in adding story to a character. So let's get started. Let's get to the meat of it. So how do we get ideas? Sometimes it's really hard to start something, and I know it very well. So the following pages will be helpful in how to get ideas going and flowing. So I have a couple of prompts here under subject, action, and emotion. So for subject, it can be anything. Like it doesn't have to make sense as long as you make it the star of the story. So we have a frog, rat, a car. We have some sheep here, a pencil, a carrot. It can be your dog, your friend, your boyfriend if you have one, a girlfriend. So the same for action, it can be really random and you can take inspiration from real life, like riding a scooter, reading a book, crossing the street. Like it doesn't have to be all exciting because sometimes pairing it with something opposite makes it fun. So working from 9 to 5, that's so familiar to us. Getting money from the bank, which is also very familiar. And the more varied it is, the better, because that allows you to have surprising and unexpected results. And also, opposite combinations yield interesting results as well, like I said earlier. And the same applies for emotion. Like we have a bunch here, we have happy, funny, sad, confused, and the possibilities are endless, just like your imagination. So I already went ahead and picked my prompts. So you can choose the same prompts as I did, which you will see later, and draw along with me, or you can pick your own. So let's inspire each other. Share in the chat what prompts you would pick. Yeah. Next page, I am picking my prompts. So these are my prompts. And for anyone who knows me and my art, like I really love frog, so I picked frog as my subject, obviously. So it's the star of my story. Oh, cool prompts. Math homework. That's really nice. And eating a pizza, yes, I picked the same prompt as you. So eating a pizza as the action because I just had pizza this week and I'm feeling really inspired by the only meal I remember. And the emotion that I picked is please. So again, pretty normal emotion with interesting combinations. And I see like a lot of cool combinations in the chat. And let's see how we bring it to life later. And my prompts already give me an idea in my head, like frog eating a pizza, very pleased. But you see how using this method turns you into an idea machine. And this is also really helpful in case of a block. You can even do this with your friends or your work friends, and you can make it a game even and put prompts on sticky notes and do a little raffle. So again, create a variety of prompts under each category and mix them up, like be random and allow it to be fun. Allow yourself to be fun and have fun and be bold and let yourself be surprised. So now that we have like a super cool idea, how do we bring it to life? Because the ideas in our head can really look different once we actually make it happen. And the only way to know is to actually do it. So let's get sketching. So here I'm using Affinity because you can do your sketches and your vectors all in one place, which is really cool. And you don't have to switch applications. So you do everything here. And I'm just sketching the idea out, not really being worried about being messy. And for me, I try not to erase so much because I feel like it ruins the flow of ideas and it erases my idea, if that makes sense. And you can always draw over it later or use your layers. Like on Affinity, there's like unlimited layers. So as I was sketching, I thought it would be cool to have a mosquito as a pizza topping because in cartoons, frogs eat mosquitoes. And I don't know if this happens in real life, but I thought I was being clever by, making them as pizza toppings. And also, there's the idea of using the tongue to hold the pizza because that's how frogs eat from what I know. And I'm just finishing my sketch and now I have my sketch. So like I said, don't worry about being messy, embrace the mess, let loose and let the ideas flow. And it doesn't end here. Now how do we make it even more memorable? So this section is just about creating variations of the same idea, and it's really simple. It still utilizes the subject, action, emotion, and it's just about playing around with it. So for example, this sketch has all the elements, the subject, action, emotion of it as a frog eating pizza, and it's very pleased, all distributed equally. And the But if you emphasize the frogness, so the subject, and I do that, by making it bigger. So in this case, making my frog chunkier, and the rest does not matter as much, but we're still there. Like, it's still eating a pizza, but the focus is really on its frogness. And now this is like a variation. You've got a new variation of the same idea. And if you put emphasis on it eating the pizza, so I exaggerate the tongue holding the pizza, because I really like the idea that frogs eat with their tongues. And if there are frog experts watching, please educate us in the chat. Like, why does that happen? That's really amazing. And finally, this sketch puts focus on the emotion, so being pleased, which you can visualize by the expression on the face and the whole posture, which is like very relaxed and loose. So, by just playing around with subject, action, and emotion, the three things, you can get 4 different variations of the same idea, and also a handy trick if you're working with a client and they want like different options. So now you know the secrets. And now that we have all of them together, it's easier to look at the different forms and pick the best one. And it's really important to do this because you only have this character to tell your story, and this is such a small space. Like, this is just your character. And yeah, I think that's really important. It's also helpful to turn off the lines and look at them as silhouettes, so you're clear with which one you'd like to go with. And if you're still having a hard time, try squinting and see what shape stands out. So I'm squinting also. So what shape is standing out for you? Tell me in the chat. Yes, I see a lot of ones because I picked one too. You usually pick the first option, but there are instances, when you have to let go of an idea, like, and so this is like a really helpful way in seeing things clearly and as a whole, like seeing things as silhouettes without lines, without all the detail. So yeah, again, we got a lot of options, but I did pick option 1. So that's my personal bias, and only because it's simple enough and it's like really frog-like with the limbs sticking out, and there's like also an additional shape there which I know is the mosquito, and I'm gonna use it. It can be like another asset, which I can use separately on other things, so I get like a 2-in-1. So that's really cool for me. So have a really nice silhouette. Like, it's the only space you can tell your story, so have a really good one. And now we can make our final touches. So we're like rendering it. This is the best part. So I'm back on Affinity. Now switching to my vector window. And I'm just going over my sketch with a vector stroke. And on Affinity, they have like default brushes that are textured, so it looks really organic, which is what I always go for in my illustrations. And what really surprised me was that it didn't look vector at all, but it is. Like, you see me adjusting my points and making everything look neat, and this is really the time when you can be perfect about things and go over them again and again if you want. And another cool thing is there's like a rope stabilizer, so it makes your lines and curves really smooth. And if you have shaky hands like me, this is really helpful. Like, I think a lot of you draw, I think it's really usual for us. And now I'm making my offset path also because I want to turn this into a sticker. And it's very easy to do this on Affinity because there's like a specific tool for it, and it just takes 1 click and preview is live, so that's really handy. And now I have an illustration of a frog eating a pizza, and it is very pleased, plus my extra mosquito illustration, which I separated as another sticker. So now I have 2 assets, and you can put it on your laptop, or maybe it's a mascot for a brand. You can also share it with friends, or you sell it to friends so they can support you and your art. And that's all there is to it. And to recap, here are all the key points. We did learn so many. There are 5 things. So number 1, a character can have everything a story has. A character is a story in itself. Number 2, adding action and emotion to your subject helps add story to a character. Number 3, random prompts create surprising results. And number 4, loose sketches allow for more ideas to flow. Number 5, the last one, a silhouette is a space you can tell a story, so have a really good one. And I hope you were really able to get something from this talk and in some way contribute to your own methods in creating your own memorable characters with a really cool story in super easy steps. And please show off your wonderful creations on socials when you do make them, or if you were drawing along with me or later, and use the hashtag Canva Creative Lab to let us know so we can see them. And I'm really excited to see what you come up with. And remember to just have fun. Thank you very much.